Hello everyone, Jai Hind. I'm Major Mohammed Ali Shah. I have the proud privilege and honor to welcome one of the finest journalists and anchors who I have been live in conversation with on television. And she is fabulous. Her energy is fabulous. Sometime back, in fact, I read a comment on a YouTube channel. She has a YouTube channel and which is doing really well. And that's Offbeat with Afrida. So do subscribe to it, do comment on it, and do like. I saw a fabulous comment saying that I love her energy. बस और मैं क्या बोलूं Afrida. But now if I tell, well, she needs no introduction at all. You all know her. You all have seen her. Very, very familiar face to all of you. She is the consulting editor of Free Press Journal. She was formerly with Times Network and India Today. She has trained 2 years in mainstream TV news, also now a newly minded lifestyle coach and mindset mentor with a large following on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, social media, a very big social media influencer. Let's go ahead straight away and let's talk to Afrida Rehman Ali. Afrida, Jai Hind, and thank you very much for taking our time, Afrida.
Hi, Jai Hind. Hello, how are you doing? So nice to be here on your program. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Afrida. You are actually a brand. I don't know if you realize it. Afrida Rehman Ali. कई लोग बोलते हैं जर्सिम बोलो तो Afrida Rehman Ali. Now the very fact is your journey from Jorhat, in fact, the northeast part of India, which I've been really very very fascinated by. Having spent a large amount of my childhood in northeast part of India, in service in the army and after the army as well. So tell me, from Jorhat, when you came to a big city like Mumbai and you set up a career in journalism, how was your journey? Take us through to your journey, Afrida.
Thank you, Alisha, for asking me. I want to begin by telling you that yes, you're right. I was born in Jorhat, and that place has a special connect for me. It is a small town in Upper Assam. Uh, my father was in government service, so we did the rounds of all the small towns, do teen saal aise, throughout my childhood. So I would say I had a very a good mix of people in my childhood, and those are great stimulants for anybody, right? So we were never static in one place, just like you would know as an army, as somebody who has grown up in a defense family. So I think that helped in shaped me a lot throughout my childhood, being in small towns of Assam. I studied in Cotton College in Guwahati. I did my graduation from there, and my teachers there, I did my English honors. My teachers there always encouraged me, seeing my talent in public speaking, etc., because I used to be representing the college in debating teams, etc. So my teachers would encourage me to go into the media profession, and they gave me a lot of leads, and I started, of course, dreaming to join one of the top media institutes in India. Little did I know how tough it will be, because Mass Communication Research Center in Jamia those days, at least in my time, was very stringent. I think they just had about 18 or 19 seats in the general category. It's a government institute, so it was very very tough competition for me to get in there from Assam. There were kids from say LSR and Stephens, and they had far better exposure. So to break into that circle of students, it was tough, but I am grateful that that gave me a very good platform, I would say. Once I entered the Mass Communication Institute, the premier media institute in India, I got a lot of exposure. I learned the ropes, and I immediately got a job with India Today. India Today groomed me as a journalist, I have to say. My initial years were there in the Delhi bureau. I was a reporter, and I got married, moved to Assam because my husband was posted in Assam. So there again, it was a very good way, a good mix of things, because from working in a metro city, I was pushed to work in my own home state, which was insurgency inflicted, which used to get floods every year, where there was abject poverty. So I got to see another side of my own home state. I was obviously brought up in a slightly cocooned, you can say, privileged background, in terms of at least better than the rest of the lot, sort of. So I was not fully exposed to the problems of the people down on ground. But those years being a ground reporter helped me. And then I moved back to Delhi. I obviously had kids by the time. I took my career breaks. And that's how it happened. Moving from Jorhat to Guwahati to Cotton College. I studied, my school was in Jorhat, and moving to Guwahati to Cotton College. It was all like a step by step thing, you know. And then aspiring to get into the Jamia mass communication, and then getting a platform in one of the best networks, still very, one of the major news networks in India. And it just went on from there. I hope I didn't take too long to answer a short
No,
question.
perfect, perfect. नहीं नहीं हमारे audience आपको ही सुनने आए हैं तो we would like to hear you because they've heard you on the other side. Today I have the honor and privilege of getting you convincing you to come the other side. So it's I feel really good about it. And नहीं नहीं बिल्कुल है ना आपको हम सुन सकते हैं बहुत ही जबरदस्त speaker हैं आप. Now tell me, when you came to Jamia, MCRC. In fact, I have had the honor of you guys call this talent, right? बाहर से आप एक्टर बुलाते हैं अपने
हाँ हाँ हाँ,
डिप्लोमा
हम लोगों को चाहिए होता है for our student films. We always need people to work in our films, in our student films. We call them talent. They still do.
talent.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I have been that talent for many of the films, especially around the year 2001. I don't know if you would be familiar with anyone
Okay.
around the
Yeah,
batch
I
of
was in college. No, I passed out 2001. Yeah,
so तो आपके जूनियर होंगे शायद नारो रेशु विजेता
yeah, 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 yeah. I know them all. I know them
hey,
all.
high five. So Naro
High
is
five.
a very dear friend of mine and from Nagaland in fact.
Yes,
And
yes.
Naro is from
In
Lawrence
fact,
School
Vijeta
Sanat.
is my neighbor. She stays in my building, and I just bumped into her sometime back.
Who?
Vijeta.
हाँ विजेता of course yeah विजेता है तो बॉम्बे में विजेता रेशु both are in Bombay and Reshu
Yeah.
stays in Mud. That's right. So yes, I was in touch with them, and I acted in Vijeta's diploma film in fact, and it
Oh,
was great.
okay.
Great.
Interesting.
So मैंने बहुत 2001 के आसपास ना that batch I have there are a lot of
Okay.
these short films with them and उसमें मैं talent था. So tell me about your diploma film and the memories you have of MCRC. Afrida.
So I'll tell you what happened with me was a bit of a mismatch there, huh, I must say, because MCRC is thoroughly a filmmaking course. And my interest was always in journalism, even though there is a commonality, because in journalism, at least in those days, everything was about making ground reports. And ground reports क्या होता है वही 2 मिनट का film ही होता है literally, because you write a script, you shoot it, so my training was actually in filmmaking, to be honest, because we did photography, we did film appreciation, we did radio, we did all of those. We did covered all the ground when it comes to mass communication. But I was very clear that even though I have done my training in all of this, all the technical aspects of filmmaking, I actually wanted to be a journalist. And so I applied all over to NDTV, to Aaj Tak, and I got my lucky break in Aaj Tak first. About my experience in MCRCC, those were the college days. So I was one of those people who was as much enjoying the campus life, my friendships, my hostel life. Jamia was Jamia Girls Hostel where I stayed. It was a beautiful environment there. I was exposed to, I made friends from all over the country. So my memories are more to do with that than to do with what I actually learned in filmmaking, because I knew that I had to somehow get by, and then I want to work in journalism. So I would say my rich memories are more from the hostel life. I still have some of those friends, my friends from Kashmir. And some of those friends, like now we go back over 25 years, they are in Bombay. And we are such a great circle, now as we reconnected after so many years. So my memories of MCRC, I keep reliving all the time because my friends are here in Bombay, quite a few of them. My roommate from Jamia Girls Hostel is here. She's a very dear friend of mine. So those memories I live with day in and day out.
I had tried for Jamia for MCRC. In fact, I had not got through the NSD twice. तो मैं Jamia के लिए try किया. At Jamia also I plugged in the entrance test, and then I joined the Short Service Commission of the Army, and I'm
Okay.
so anyhow. So the very fact is, that you were saying that MCRC is more of a filmmaking course. Kabir Khan is from MCRC. Barkha Dutt is from MCRC. Afrida Rehman Ali, अरे तो आप ही हैं, sorry, वो आप ही MCRC. So the very fact is, Now tell me about the challenges of the girls from the northeast part of India who
Yeah.
get into journalism, like this Bano, and they are other
Manohara.
people
Yeah.
doing really well. So कम आए हैं मगर जो आए हैं वो छा गए हैं भाई. So tell me about the challenges
Yeah.
a girl or any person from northeast would take.
Northeast, the challenge is because you know what, people have a lot of preconceived notions. Like when I joined Aaj Tak, I realized, see, a Hindi newsroom is very different, right? Like you have people from the Hindi heartland. एक तो बहुत पेट्रियाकल होते हैं, सो दे फील कि अच्छा एक डेलिकेट सी लड़की आई है, ज्वाइन किया है ऑफिस, इसको थोड़ा सॉफ्ट स्टोरीज में डाल दो, बुक लॉन्च टाइप, यू नो, लाइक दैट. So I had to fight that initially, that I'm capable of doing more than just these events that you keep sending me. Uday Shankar was my boss. He is now, of course, one of the top names in the streaming business. But I was hired by Uday Shankar. In fact, I was interviewed by Prabhu Chawla and Uday Shankar. I still remember. And वो होता है ना एक, you are a young person with a lot of dreams, and with what confidence I walked into this Aaj Tak office, knowing it's a Hindi channel, knowing I'm from the Northeast and my Hindi is like bare minimum. Matlab, whatever you would have picked up watching Hindi films, that was my Hindi, right? So I don't know with what confidence I went, and why they. I mean, obviously they saw my credentials passed out from MCRC, so they I had to clear a Hindi test from when I applied for the job. So Prabhu Chawla and all, they looked at my sheet that I had written and said, "Your Hindi, आपकी तो हिंदी तो काफी basic है, and how will you work in a Hindi channel?" So interestingly, I knew this was coming. तो मैंने एक दोस्त को पूछा था, मैं आज तक में इंटरव्यू है तो हिंदी में पूछेंगे क्या बोलूं. उस दोस्त ने मुझे बोला कि तू एक बात बता देना, एक लाइन बोल देना कि भाषा तो एक जरिया है, भाषा अपने आप में मकसद नहीं है. ओके. सो मैंने रट लिया था. एंड दिस फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन, ही न्यू कि ये पूछने वाले हैं कि तुम तो नॉर्थ ईस्ट की एसमीज लड़की हो, हिंदी चैनल में कैसे करोगी. He knew this would come, and sure enough, Prabhu Chawla asked me this question. हिंदी में कैसे करोगे? I तो रट, just like that line came out of my mouth right there. भाषा तो एक जरिया है, भाषा अपने आप में मकसद नहीं. Then he said, अंग्रेजी में बोलिए इसको. I translated it. I don't know, sometimes when you have that great energy and enthusiasm, it just comes. So I said, language is just a means to an end. Language is not an end in itself. So that line saved me, and that line got me the job in Aaj Tak, because probably they liked my confidence. They knew that here is somebody who will learn the ropes, who will pick up. And then the way I picked up, I started typing in Hindi. My Hindi typing was faster than English. So I
Wow.
always say this to young people, that what you need actually, Ali, is that you need that energy and enthusiasm. That translates into competence. So now I'm giving you my life lessons also, which I like to talk about so much. Once you have that energy, that guts and gumption, that courage of conviction, things come to you. So I picked up Hindi. I picked up Hindi typing. A lot of people, like my bosses, were very kind to me, because see, they cut you a lot of slack knowing that you're from Assam. So I was saved also. The bar was a little low for me. जब मैं scripting भी करती थी, आशुतोष जी थे desk पे, वो he was the head of output. तो उनके बाहर हम लोग लाइन में लगते थे ना scripts clear करने के लिए, because unless he clears the script, you can't do your voiceover and your report cannot go on air. So he would look at me, he would look at my script, he would look at me, and I was petrified of him. Now I talk to him like a journalist to journalist, but there was a time when they were my mentors, So he would look at me, and the whole script would be overhauled by him. And he was such a good writer. So it would get a touch of gold, sort of, whatever I had written, he would scrap it all, and he would like type it in his own, and then he would like look at me that you make me do a lot of work, because your writing is so bad. But then what happens is, with every script you learned. So next time you went to him, you were a little better. And there came a time when he would look at me and say, "Tumne likha hai?" I said, "Yeah." "Aap hi se sikha hai." You learn, how your scripts are improved. And so that is how your Hindi improved. And my Hindi now, I don't use the language as much, but I think I get by very easily. So since you asked, coming from Northeast, first challenge was that you are looked at, being a woman, you're looked at as a softie, that sort of. Second challenge for me was my Hindi. And then there were other challenges, which I think most women reporters do face. So I will not go into that.
There's another very dear friend of mine from Guwahati, in fact, with India Today Group, your namesake, Afrida, and
Yeah,
who has done her internship with you, in fact,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. She did an inter. She later went to head the Northeast digital platform for India Today. She was my intern. You're right.
Correct.
Yeah.
She's the deputy editor of India Today Group was in Guwahati, and
Yes, yes, she was. Yeah, yeah,
I had the honor of interviewing her, and she was telling about Manipur crisis. मैं मणिपुर के बारे में अच्छी खासी ठीक ठाक समझ है मेरे को.
yeah. Ha, ha,
So
ha, ha.
about her experience about when she went to Manipur to cover and such things. And so ये बताइए, coming from the northeast part of India, did your bosses pay any stress or emphasis कि आप northeast के भी आप segments cover करोगे, like
Mhm.
what's happening in Manipur, for example, which is there in the media, or things like that? Did that burden come on you as well? And if at all it did, I'm glad it did. Yeah,
No,
I
no,
want
it
to
was
know.
not a burden. I would pitch for stories in the Northeast. I would want to go back. When I was in Delhi, I would constantly want to go back and report from Assam. And I have, of course, covered state elections and all. I would go, like when I was with Mirror Now, and Mirror Now was a channel with very small budget. So they would not send anchors because unko lagta tha, agar if you go, then who will anchor here? You know, we can send a junior reporter to report from the ground, but we don't want our senior anchors to go during elections and all. But I kind of pitched myself strongly that I want to go and report from the ground when the last elections happened in Assam, the state elections I'm talking about, and I also reported for Lok Sabha. So I was, of course, I became that person in office for any topic in Northeast, like when this entire CAA thing was happening. I remember Ali, my sister was very unwell, a younger sister of mine was battling a terminal illness, and I was with her. And that was the time that CAA protest was raging in Assam. And I would do phonos like holding the phone on my hand, like I would do my reports about what is happening there. Because obviously, when you're from that place, when you know the local language, you have a network of people, obviously, you have a better grip on the subject. So I did a lot of reports. I remember I featured you in one of the reports I did where you acted in a movie that was played in the New York Festival, and I had you on my show as well. So three movies. Yeah, there were three movies from Northeast, from Assam, that were featured in the New York Festival. One of the movies where you also acted. So those sort of stories and those sort of opportunities I always got, and where I didn't get, I grabbed them. I pushed for them. So that's how it was.
Janu Varva's film, which was produced by Shanab Alam and Priyanka Chopra and
Yes.
their production house. It was. Have you seen this film? आप देखिए by any chance?
No,
The Broken
actually, I should. I should. I know. I'll watch it.
Oh, it's not
I'll
released as
watch
yet.
it.
It's not released as yet. I thought in case Shanab Alam or Janu Barwa anyone has shown it to
I know
you.
Jana very well, and of course, Jan Gora sir is also. I know him. I've interviewed him. He's a very highly respected name in Assamese filmmaking. Well decorated, highly awarded filmmaker. So we are very proud of Janu Borwa, and I have been his fan. I've watched a couple of his movies, but not this one.
नहीं, ये अभी
Not
release भी नहीं हुई. This is not release. Only
okay.
a few. They have shown the special screening too. I mean, uh,
Okay, so it was not available for public viewing. Yeah, yeah.
no, not as yet. It's due to release soon. And
Okay,
आपको
okay.
जानना है Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, and several national
Yes.
awards and legend. Great learning, yeah, great learning.
Legend, absolutely. And so unassuming, so humble and simple. So that's how people from my home state are, isn't it? What do you say?
Absolutely, absolutely, no doubt about that. Tell you
Yeah.
one thing, coming from Assam, अपनी नागामीज जानी ऐसे बोलो बोलो
জানো বুজি পাওঁ নাগামিজ
ऋषि बाबू ऐसे
বুজি পাওঁ কাৰণ নাগামিজ আৰু অসমীয়া একেই প্ৰায় একেই
होए
যোনে
होए टापू
অসমীয়া
होए
জানে যোনে
बुझी पाइजे
অসমীয়া জানে নাগামিজ ধুনীয়াকে বুজি পাব I mean whoever
होए
knows
होए
Assamese will easily understand and vice versa I think
वाह
so
अपनी खाई से खाना है
say that
अपनी
again
खाई से खाना है
কি নাই
अपनी खाई से खाना है it's नागामीज
I
slightly similar
said
to
Lenai. Acha, you have to frame it correctly. You want to ask me, have I had my meal or have I had my breakfast? So you have to say, Apni nasta khale nai.
that would be in Aspis in Nagamese it
Acha,
would be
you were saying in Nagamese. Okay,
इसे
I
खाना है
got it. I got it. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
I'm
a slight variation. Yeah. Slight.
Aspis नहीं आती होगी yeah
Yeah, but
Assamese, I
it
think it's
sounds
Nagamese
exactly
actually.
like Assamese. It sounds as if you are talking distorted Assamese. That's why I went on to correct you.
Okay.
But I
Then
got it. I got it.
I think. I don't know how to speak
Yeah.
Assamese. I can speak Nagamese all right. I can speak a bit of Manipuri as well. And
Okay.
so tell me, which all parts of northeast part of India have you traveled extensively? I mean, which all states have you been to? Because northeast part of India, मैं तो हर जगह मतलब state capital ही नहीं ऐसी जगहों पे गया हूँ where people haven't they are surprised. You've been there. We have been there for so many years. We haven't been there. So I would like to. It's
Yeah,
very
I have explored quite a bit because what used to happen is when I was working, when I got married, and when I was based in Guwahati, those days for weekends, like what do you do? So you will go and explore nearby Meghalaya. So we had this go-to place, which has now become a national favorite. It's called Rikinjay, right in Barapani. There's a resort right in the middle of the lake. So it used to be a regular thing. I mean, not regular, but in the sense that a weekend or a quick break getaway thing for us to go to this beautiful resort middle of the lake in Barapani, right? So that was one place. I've been to Meghalaya, to Cherrapunji, a lot of those places. Nagaland as a child, I've been to Dimapur and all. Arunachal, I have traveled. So part of these travels were, of course, because of my job while I was with Ajtak. So I used to send reports for this program called Dharam Ajtak. There used to be a program in the morning, and I did quite a few interesting reports. I went to Majuli Island. This program was about people's blind faith or certain religious beliefs, which people are steeped into some superstitious things. So the report was about that. So I went to Majuli once to cover this terrible superstition that started picking up in this village, that there was a Diane in the village and her nose had to be cut. So the people in that village, believe it or not, and I saw this up front, went about chopping the noses of women because not knowing who is the Diane among them. And I went to the hospital. I saw women lying with the chopped part of their nose. So those are the things I've covered. So I've seen a lot of violence, gore, a lot of this kind of unpleasant incidents. Also, what you asked me was whether I have traveled. So those kind of interiors of Majuli. In fact, I was strongly prohibited from going there because see, you're a woman, you're a young girl, people are into that mad streak, what they will do to you. So the DC refused to give me permission to go to Majuli. I requested, then he gave me an escort, somebody from his office who would go with me, and they told the local villagers that movie ka shooting hai. So she will just prance around or whatever. She will just like roam around the trees and shooting it. So I had to actually pretend to do a little bit of that also. लोगों को शक ना हो कि मैं कोई न्यूज रिपोर्ट बनाने आई हूँ. So I was pretending on one hand to be doing some music video, you know, imaginary, just to give the impression, ki I mean no harm to you guys. And then also at the same time, I would like nudge my camera person, ki, do this, shoot this part, and then I quickly wrote a report. I did a piece to camera there. So those are good memories. So I've traveled Assam extensively, Meghalaya, a little bit of Nagaland, little bit of quite a bit of Arunachal. I've been to Dirang and all. Because those days Kiran Rijiju was there, and he's a good friend of mine. Now he's become a very important minister in the Modi cabinet. But those days, initially he was with the Congress. 2004, he was with the Congress. And he was a MLA, if I remember correctly. So he used to guide us. He used to take our team along, and with Dirang and all these festivals I have attended, which still happen every year. And Tripura, Agartala just once. I don't remember very clearly what it was. So if there's a random incident happens, you just rush and you cover and you come back. So that way.
and Mizoram.
Aizol, yes, once I think. Aizol I've been once, yeah, yeah. I don't remember because this was like 20 years ago. I've been to all
Right.
the state capitals for sure, all the state capitals, because some incident, some event or the other would always happen. And those are short flights, no? So you would go and you would come back mostly the same day, like that.
Northeast part of India has always fascinated me. I started my schooling when I was 3 years old, class nursery from Arunachal, from Tanga Valley, Tawang, Khirmu, that belt.
Yeah,
And my
yeah, yeah.
having a brigade from Manipur. जब अपनी 12th खत्म करा था, तो मैं boarding school, तब वो काक्शिन में थे. I've lived in Assam, I've lived in Bangagad in Guwahati for some time. I've lived in Difu. The World Health Organization has rated that as the highest place for anti-malaria. With the
Yeah.
assignments I've lived in Difu. So I have very very fond memories. So let's talk about further on. You know, you made a shift from television journalism to
Yes.
digital. You see a lot of leading journalists. Ravish Kumar has done that. You see Sanket Upadhyay has done that. The Red Mic. You see a lot of
The
people have
great
done that.
Pranay Roy has done that.
Right?
So
Exactly. So many have
many
done
of
that.
us.
Barkadat
Yeah.
has done that.
Yeah.
So many of
Yeah.
you have done that. So tell me, how has the shift been, and what motivated you and inspired you to take that shift into digital?
Yeah, a bit of circumstances also, actually, to be honest, because Mirror Now, the Times Network, shifted their headquarters to Delhi. And
Okay.
I had certain personal compulsions. I couldn't move, I couldn't leave my family and move. See, different stages of my career, I have had to make a choice between family and career. Sometimes I've chosen career. This time I had to choose family. I didn't want to leave because my daughter was in her 12th grade and she had her 12th board exam, and I wanted to be around in the
12 years
house.
old or 12 or 12th grade?
12th, she has now finished her 12th class. But when
Usually,
this shifted,
class, मैं पूछ रहा हूँ 12 year old or
no, no,
12th
no, no,
grade.
no, no. She's 18-year-old. She's turned 18. Yeah, yeah. So I'm saying that I didn't want to shift location. So because of that, I had to quit Times Network. And also, mahal aisa ban gaya tha na, everybody was wanting to do their own thing. People like me who didn't want to toe the line all the time was already getting a little antsy, like we were not, like I used to have these conflicts about what headline should go and what with my producers and things. So I was also anyway, I think, was on my way out, I would say. And then this became a great excuse that they were shifting headquarters. So there was no question of me moving lock, stock, and barrel to Delhi, especially when I'm already in that stage of wanting to leave this mainstream thing. And like you said, already inspired by people like Ravish and all to speak independently, to speak my mind. I was itching for that. So to answer your question, the move to digital in that sense was very organic, and I immediately felt that sense of freedom to be able to speak what I want to speak and what I want to say in my own terms. And luckily, the place that I work for now, Free Press Journal, it's a very healthy environment for journalists to work in. So I think, and I think I'm hoping, I've just started. I'm hoping I'll be able to slowly make a difference here as well. So I'm working with a great set of people. It's a small team and it's not like a big media network or something. But I also wanted to slow down a bit. You know what? It's so much of hectic running around that I have done for over 20 years, right? So that very hustling period, I feel somewhere it should ease out also a bit. And now I feel very comfortable, able to speak my mind, able to do work at my own pace. That constant deadline जो टीवी में होता है ना, अभी 7 बजे का न्यूज़ है, कुछ भी करके you have to do it. So sometimes you don't give quality work also. The deadlines are so sharp, and you end up compromising on a lot of things. Now that has eased out a bit, a bit. You still have deadlines, you still have to do things while an issue is hot, but at least it's not so bad. So your stress levels have come down. It's easy people to work with, very mature people with ideas are welcomed. You're consulted, you are given sort of value, your opinion is given value. So I feel blessed that way to have moved to digital, and I'm sure a lot of the others, if you speak to them, they'll say the same thing. It's like you get to breathe. You suddenly get to breathe. You don't have to constantly think of towing this line or that line, or not saying this or not saying that. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I've had a very interesting conversation with you in your studios as well and here. In the army, we had heard the going gets tough, the tough gets going. In the
Hmm.
pandemic, I coined this thing, this term, this quote. I heard from somewhere, it was inspired from there, and then I said, when the going gets tough, the tough gets online. So I went online.
The tough goes towards digital
आपने
media.
as a TV journalist earlier, you
Hmm.
remember, I mean, you had guests joining you online. पहले तो हमको आपके चैनल में फिजिकली स्टूडियो में आना पड़ता था.
Do you
एक
remember
बार
when you came for the show on Triple Talaq? I remember I was looking for a male Muslim representative. And then somebody told me about you, and I remember calling you up, and you were kind enough to rush and come to office and be with me in the studio. And we had other guests like for and again. So those were the days where I used to do these debates, prime time debates. So,
I can't forget that day because it was 23rd September. How I remember that
oh, it
date
was your
also.
birthday. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yes,
Yes.
yes. And yet you came. Yeah, yeah, I remember now. I remember that day.
Right. So we were having a party, a bash at Nanda Puri, Om Puri Saab's wife and son, Ishan Puri. They're a very dear friend of mine. My wife, son, and I, we were there. And फिर कॉल आई आपकी तो ऐसे तो मैं फटाफट बॉम्बे में लोकल ट्रेन द फास्ट नेटवर्क वो पकड़ा एंड देन
Yeah.
अगेन बट अपेरेंटली सो वन हैज टू अब क्या है वन हैज टू बी ऑनलाइन सो आप ये बताइए टेल अस अबाउट योर ऑनलाइन डिजिटल हैंडल्स योर इंस्टाग्राम हैंडल योर फेसबुक हैंडल योर ट्विटर हैंडल योर यूट्यूब चैनल्स के बारे में भी कुछ बताइए आप हमको लाइक
जी.
टू हियर दैट
So मैंने क्या किया when I quit my job, I am the kind of person who can't do without working, right? Some of us are like that. हम लोग बैठ नहीं सकते आराम से. You can't bear the emptiness of it. So I immediately got online and I started even before I spoke to Free Press Journal and all. I immediately started. मतलब मुझे एक दिन में भी ऐसे ही नहीं without engaging with news as if I can't stay without it. I don't know. I started my YouTube channel. I had a friend of mine who helped me with a video editor. So I got doing with day to day, issues, small videos I would make by myself, setting up the camera by myself. I would do it. So that's the channel which is still on, and it picked up. It's got about, I think, about 9,000, 10,000 subscribers, which single handedly I have done. Huh? I don't have a team of people or anything. But what really picked up surprisingly, actually, what happened was, mm, I would be like her group में होता है ना कि somebody is good with cooking or somebody is good with organizing parties or whatever. Like I was the person who would be good with my friends when they had. I was like the agony aunt. So किसी के personal issues में ना, I would always give them, like they say, ज्ञान. So I give them very uh, interesting perspectives on their problem, and they would always say that it really helped. It really helped. So then one of my friends told me that tu ye kar, just make a little nuggets of your wisdom, na, make it on Instagram, start shooting and do it. And I just on a whim, complete whim, I started doing it. Initially, I used to call it life lessons or something. The way it picked up, I was so surprised. I started when I was with Mirror now, must have been something around 6,000 or something followers. I had it shot up to 50,000 in like a month or something. And now it's still growing. It's growing. I still do it because I've realized that so many people like hearing these little, and it's 1 minute, right? So it's just 1 minute. So, for example, this teacher of mine in school taught me, I remember that garbage is great manure, right? हम लोग पौधे में garbage डालते हैं ना, that becomes like a great manure for the plant. So my teacher in school used to say, whenever you go through shit, like they say in English, we say you go through a lot of bad times, hard times, think of it as the garbage. That will be great manure for you because that will groom you, or that will be the thing for the plant to blossom. So I always recall these things and I apply it to a certain context, and I would make these things into reels. So these are the 1 minute reels I do, which have really picked up. So I said in one of my reels that gobar se hi banta hai manure. So if you are going through adversity or difficult times or something that is really troubling you, think of it as the manure. Use it, to fire yourself up, to catapult yourself with that energy of whatever it is that you're going through. So people enjoy it. My daughter once asked me, Mama, what are you trying to do with it? Like, what is it that you're doing? And I said, I want to give hope and I want to give clarity. Because this is again one of my beliefs that most of us don't have clarity. When you have clarity, you will have confidence. When you have confidence, you have that energy. Like I said, once you have that energy and enthusiasm, it translates into efficiency. It becomes efficiency, it becomes competence. And that is what you need. You need to be competent in whatever you're doing, right? So, I mean, these things I like to talk because I feel it gives clarity and it gives hope. Everyone is looking for that because otherwise there's so much doom and gloom around, isn't it? You open the newspaper, you open a TV channel, अभी गाजा में जो हो रहा है, Israel Hamas conflict is happening. I mean, you see so much of human misery. And अभी कुवैत में इतने लोग मर गए, अभी ये मतलब all the time you are exposed to so much of human misery that you feel everything is wrong with this world. So then people turn to things which gives them hope, which gives them clarity, which gives them something to, think that not everything is bad in this world. There's a lot of good happening, and I can make a change. I can do it. So to give that sort of confidence, I feel that it helps. Whatever I have learned, I feel now in my mid 40s, I feel that by virtue of being a mother to two children, I have learned a lot. By virtue of being in the field of media for over 20 years, I have learned a lot. By virtue of sustaining a marriage for over 20 years, I learned a lot about relationships. So, by virtue of these three things, I
Touch wood.
speak about being a parent, yeah, about being a woman in the media, about relationships. I speak from there, like I speak from my experience, over 2 decades of experience in these three areas. So I think these reels and all, they do well because it's very short, it doesn't take much of your time, and there's something to learn, something to see and watch and understand because you retain it better. So that
Right.
works.
Tell us your handles for people to our viewers to listen and they can follow. You tell us
Yeah,
your
I'll
handles
spell
about.
my name. Afrida Rehman Ali is the Instagram handle. And my YouTube is Offbeat with Afrida. So I have made a clear distinction. All my journalistic work is in YouTube. So I don't do much of that in Instagram because I know that that audience is not interested again in listening to the same old rat about doom and gloom in the world, right? So I keep that separate. But in my YouTube, and these are like are more of opinion pieces on incidents that happen. So I those are also short videos, but those are very connected to the current affairs. Now I'm doing a lot of videos on G7, the summit that is going on in Italy.
Quickly, yeah.
I won't just say कि G7 हो रहा है और ये हुआ, because that people read in the newspapers. I give you a perspective कि हो रहा है तो मैं क्या करूँ इसका, so what. So I give you the answer to so what. Even in my news videos, I try to give you a context जो आपके मतलब का है. तो इसमें मेरे मतलब का क्या है, तो मैं वो चीज लेके आई डू माई वीडियोज इवन इन माई न्यूज वीडियोज. So that's YouTube, and Facebook also. I post on my public page. I post a lot of my reels. I do a lot of these word plays also, by the way. I like to do English idioms and phrases and all. So I put it on my Facebook reels. That's also by my name, so you will not have difficulty finding it. Only thing is, YouTube is Offbeat with Afrida. That's the only one which has a slightly different name.
Right. Thank you so much, Afrida. And before we let you go, I would like to ask you one very, very pertinent question, which always I have tried to search for the answer. Do you think that the northeast part of India has been neglected by the mainstream media? If at all it has been, why do you think is the reason?
Now I think it's changed a lot because you
Okay.
see, whether you like it or not, the fact that you have a BJP minister who's always grabbing the headlines has kept Assam in the news very often, and it has not. It used to be off the radar literally. Now at least everyone knows who's the chief minister of Assam. जब सर्बानंद सोनोवाल थे तो किसी को नहीं पता था कि असम का मुख्यमंत्री कौन है. But now, because you have a man who's aggressive and is, the sort of person he is, that is one thing, that Northeast is not as neglected as before. At least Assam is not, and because now the outlook towards Northeast has also changed. So I still don't see as many reports. Like if you see Manipur, it was hardly till for over a month it was not covered. For over a month, then people woke up to it. So the tyranny of distance, as they say, it is still there. So we need strong regional leaders, who will make sure that the region is not neglected and the issues of the people are brought to the fore. That's why we need good leaders from, even in parliament, we need good representatives uh, from Assam and from the other northeastern states who will continue to highlight the issues of the people and make sure the region is not neglected.
Right. Afrida, thank you so much for your time. And before we let you go,
Thank
any
you.
last, yeah, thank you. Any last message you would like to throw to the universe from your side?
Okay, I am just going to go with what has gripped my mind now. This is a book which is obviously very popular worldwide. It's the Japanese philosophy called Ikigai. So I want to leave this message to everyone, which I tell my kids a lot, that do what you love to do, but must coincide with what you are good at, must coincide with what you can be paid for, must coincide with what the world needs. So when you have all these four things, you're good at something, you love doing it, the world is willing to pay you for it, and the world needs it. Some of these things are overlapping. Obviously, you'll be paid for it only if the world needs it. So choose your professions, because it's very important, boys or girls. You have to have a passion, something that your work. What is your calling? So that is very important. So once you find your calling, then it's a happy existence, isn't it? Because you are doing something you love and you're getting paid for it. So I am one of those people. I would say I was lucky that, and even though people say कि journalism में कहाँ पैसे हैं, ऐसे lucrative profession तो है नहीं. So many journalist students come to me and say अभी मुझे marketing में जाना है. Journalism तो कर लिया, पैसे नहीं है. That is not how it works. You have to you have to understand that this is my calling. I love doing it, and it's not as if every profession will rake you the millions. It's not even important. You can live a very decent life with a decent enough salary. You can manage a good lifestyle, lead a stress-free life. That's what I say. That's what I recommend.
Right. Afrida, thank you so much. And what you mentioned, the world needs a globe right behind you and listening needs. And thank you so much for your time. Truly a delight speaking to you.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
That's just going off air.